Lance.
Welcome to the Fish Breeder Show, a webcast covering the how-to for the breeding and raising of tropical freshwater fish. I'm your host, Tim Stanton.
And I'm Jeremy Bosch, and today we are discussing Xiphophorus hellerii, also known as the swordtail.
This show provides a path to achieving success in the breeding and raising of tropical freshwater fish. As in any journey, there's many paths to the same destination.
This is true with tropical fish breeding, and the methods described here are just one way to achieve success.
Right. In swordtails, they're an active fish. They typically go around 3 to 4 inches in length, and they're going to be a wonderful fish to keep. They have traditionally been kept in 15 to 20 gallon tanks, which they're best suited for, and they enjoy tap water. They do fine with hard tap water around 72 to 74 degrees.
Live bearers or live-bearing tooth carps are part of the order of Cyprinodontiforms and are related to killifish, which we will cover in another episode. Live bearers get their name from the fact that the females carry their offspring until they are fully developed, and basically they come out as miniature fish. The males, actually, live bearers have a special organ called a gonopodium.
That's right. The distribution of this live-bearing tooth carp consists of part of southern North America, including the United States, Central America, as well as exterior portions of South America. In the wild, live bearers tend to eat insect larvae, aquatic crustaceans, algae, and detritus. So in other words, they're pretty much omnivores.
Xiphophorus hellerii goes by the name of swordtail due to the males developing an extension on the bottom of the caudal fin. Alongside guppies, mollies, platies, swords for short are some of the best well-known live bearers in the hobby. And then in the wild, you usually find swordtails in Mexico, parts of Mexico.
That's right. And in Mexico, they're often found in many of the highland rivers there, each of the rivers carrying either separate species or color varieties. The American Live Bear Association, or ALA, has in-depth volumes of information on each of these many domestic and wild varieties.
Lots of cover at the top and bottom of the tank allows for juvenile fish, juvenile swordtails, and other live bears to exist and actually hide from the parents who may predate on them, or even other fish for that matter. And usually cover is best used by using fake or real plants, but anything that creates areas for the baby fish to hide is all the better.
Yeah. Now let's talk about preparing your fish for breeding. Male live bearers tend to breed with any female that's ready and willing, so there not a lot of coaching or coaxing that needs to be from the male side. For the females, it's best to prep them with a variety of live foods rich in protein to get them going. And one thing to keep in mind about males, especially male swordtails, is because they are so very active and always looking to breed, that if left paired solely with a single female, they may in some occasions unfortunately kill their mate. To help with this, it's usually best to keep a single male with several females, or even a group of several males and a lot of females in the tank, should you have a large enough one. And that allows them to focus their attention on different females at different times, allowing them the time to remain pregnant and give live birth when that time comes.
Yeah, that's very true, Tim. And after a few weeks, the females will actually show signs of being pregnant. They'll be very gravid. And at about week 4, the females will give birth to typically 20 to 40 offspring. It's best to allow the females a day or so to actually give birth, because it can take quite some time. After this, you can actually remove the female, and that way she doesn't eat her offspring.
Yeah, and one of the things to be thinking about is they'll be giving birth to anywhere from 20 to 40 offspring at that time. After about 4 weeks of gestation, is best to allow the females all day to give birth, and after that she can be removed along with the male to ensure that they don't unfortunately eat their own fry, their own kids.
Mm-hmm. And some interesting facts about live bears is they really have some of the largest fry in the world. Um, that it's kind of an interesting fact about them that, evolutionary wise, it's very something that's very new onto the scene. So not many fish actually breed this way. So um, taking care of the babies is pretty straightforward too, because they're basically miniature replicas of the parents. So usually flake food works really well. So if you're looking for something easy to breed, live bears might be a good fish for you.
Hmm. And Jeremy brings up a good point about foods. For fry food, because they are junior sized of their parents, a thing to keep in mind is taking care of the babies is pretty straightforward. Their first foods could be crushed flake food into a powder. It could be baby brine shrimp. It could be small microworms. They readily accept a number of those for the first several weeks of their life, and then as they progress on to becoming an adult, you can then switch up to their foods to what the adults are eating, and they'll readily join in, whether it's surface feedings or feeding middle part of your tank, or even feeding off the bottom off pellets.
Hmm. And when you're raising the fry up, it's important to provide an environment that has plenty of food and good water quality. Frequent feedings and water changes are a must. Typically, you can feed anywhere from 2 to 4 times a day. You want to make sure that you're feeding minimal amounts and that the fish are eating only what they consume in a limited amount of time. You don't want to foul the water. Also, to help prevent the water from fouling, you want to make sure that we're having a high ammonia or nitrates. Basic water changes are a must. Usually you want to do smaller amounts for baby fish, usually 10 to 20% each time. And then the water going back in should be very similar to what was in there prior as far as like temperature and pH. That way you're not shocking the fish or causing them any harm. So, and you want to do this a few times a week if possible, and the fish will grow readily if you provide them with these conditions.
Yeah, I think that's a point that can't be emphasized enough, is to try to maintain that constant quality of water care. Uh, to avoid those spikes, whether it be the switching from a very high ammonia level down to a clean water source, that is a source of stress and becomes a time when you can lose your fry. And so
Mhm.
to keep that constant quality of water care, whether it's the right temperature, the right ammonia levels, keeping a steady pH so you don't have a pH crash. These are all things that if you're going to be a fish keeper of live bears, you need to keep those things in mind to be successful.
Very true. Very true.
Well, this concludes our episode on Swordtails. We hope you enjoyed it, and stay tuned for our next episode in the coming weeks. Thank you.
Thank you.